about Pluto?
Rocco Martone, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you are listening to You Heard About Pluto, and this is our first video edition. So, anybody who's joining us on this format, thank you so much. And we are also, of course, on audio. So, you can go to your podcatcher app and get the audio only if you want to. Now, I will clear up something for this. We're watching Pluto live, but I will not be able to show anybody Pluto if you are watching. So, because for copyrights and other reasons. So you won't see Pluto, but you'll just see us, and we'll be watching Pluto.
Ooh, that's a tough switch, but that's a
Yeah, I agree. I tried to. I figured out how, but the overlords will not let you show copyrighted material apparently for free on a thing. So, what did you pick for us to watch tonight?
This is Anthony Bourdain's A Cook's Tour, which was his
A
first
cook
show.
tour.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is 2002. It was his first TV show. And yeah, this is how I first discovered the guy that we all kind of probably got into a little later. But yeah, this is right after his book had become really big, Kitchen Confidential, and blew up. And yeah, this was his first show. You can see by watching it. Well, no one watching us could see it, but it's definitely not high def. It's definitely not widescreen. It's
oh
definitely 60 by
no,
9.
it
But
looks way older.
but I love it. That's what I like about it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
the lo-fi
It looks like
aspect.
it's in the 90s.
Well, it's close.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, he's smoking a cigarette on the
he
TV, which is
is.
something you will not be able to do on a modern food, especially a food television show. So.
Yeah, true. Speaking of food, you don't really like food that much, so I was curious why you chose this one.
Well, I, I like some food. I definitely don't like watching other people eat food, especially if it
Mm.
involves sauces and condiments. Uh, but I love Bourdain. I love his attitude. I love his sensibility. He's kind of like a punk, a guy, a DIY kind of dude who. It's interesting because the idea of a celebrity chef kind of blossomed right around this period. And we've all seen the jokes, and like a Simpsons reference might be like a guy with a lot of a sleeve tattoo and some interesting facial hair. But like
Mhm.
Bourdain was the original, not to say a bad boy, but the guy who was like, fuck the conventions. I want to do shit my way. That's how I like all of my art. And
Mm.
I consider him an artist. His books are great. He's definitely a great writer. I'm sure his food is amazing, but just his attitude towards life is the way that most people should live their lives, which is very much take what you want, do what you want to do, take your opportunities, and don't fucking listen to what anyone tells you to do, especially if they're telling you you can't do something. And that's what I like about him. And it's
I
more of a
mean,
travel show than a cooking show, honestly.
definitely is more of it. He's in London, it looks like, for this, and he is having some Londony looking things. Sausages, eggs, and baked beans. I think that's their breakfast, yes. An
That's
English breakfast.
yeah, and a cigarette at the end of it, which is the
And
best way
of
to finish
course, of
breakfast.
course. I saw something else on that plate too. But he seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean it's a basic food meal. It's the way you start your day.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I like the idea that I did look up Bourdain today to make sure where he was in his career, and he's literally the age I am now while he was shooting this.
How's
And
that make you feel?
that's fine. He's probably accomplished a few more things in his life, but
Mm.
I feel like I've done enough in those. I'm pretty happy with the way I've lived my life so
You're
far.
rock and roll too, so I guess,
I guess, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um, they are making it looks like mince meat pies. What's a mince meat pie?
You put like
Oh, they're making eel
yeah, it's
pies.
like spearmint, peppermint. Yeah, you just chew all the gum and you put it in a pie.
Oh, but that sounds right.
Yeah, it's like a blackbird pie from the south, except
It's
for with gum
classic
instead of
classic English
blackbirds.
pie.
Yeah, yeah. Which
Okay, he said no eel in this one. Okay.
I mean, I do love the idea of these small kitchens that have just been around
Mhm.
forever. And it's like I do not.
Family owned
Yeah, I
stuff.
don't give a fuck if a kitchen is old and beat up like this. And there's some
Mm.
people that would be like prissy, and all those people that get prissy about their food, like my plate's a little dirty. It's like You know how many people have spit into your food in the term like a piece of the amount of people that have talked over your meal before you get to it. Like, don't be a puss about your like utensils being dirty or any of that bullshit. Just eat the goddamn food.
I mean, look, to a point, but I'm gonna need some clean, you know, utensils and plates. Now I have
Yeah, well, don't give it a
witnessed
feces sponge bath before you give it to me. But
in a kitchen similar to this, I've witnessed ladies washing dishes in a 5-gallon bucket with a rag. And that was after I ate my meal there. So I did not go back there. I don't think that was
oh,
any cleanliness standard.
there used to be a place called the Shortstop in Bloomfield, New Jersey. It was a 24-hour breakfast place, and the women that were working there were always healthy ladies that would literally be chain smoking while they took your food. There would always be a guy who definitely just got out of jail as the short order cook, and they would give you your food, and they would always have like it was definitely like a Newport 100 with the ash, and that ash would just dangle above your food while they handed you like eggs in the skillet and a hash brown the size of a fucking chihuahua and but I don't even care. Put that ash in my food. Give it to me. I don't give a shit.
Oh, okay.
I'm there for the experience. You know what I mean? Give me. I want to live that experience. So like, I do not mind all that shit, man. Get your immune system
I
up.
get the spirit of that, but I just don't. I can.
If someone's thumb is on your plate when they hand you their plate at a restaurant, do you have a hippie
No,
freak out?
I mean no, no.
Okay.
But I prefer not to think about it, honestly.
Hot and jellied eels. That is a great name for a restaurant. I'll tell you that right now.
Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Okay. First commercial.
See, like this is like the complete antithesis of what that kitchen was. I'm seeing A-list living, a commercial for that.
Mm,
It's
mm,
like this is prissy. There's not a goddamn rug on the ground. Like live in shit, man. Shit's meant to be lived in. Things shit's not supposed to be preserved. You're supposed to live in stuff. You're supposed to have be a little beat up,
mm.
just like me. And it was just like Bourdain. We're very
He
similar.
is quite well. I mean, he was sort of a that sort of well, but he I felt it's funny because he went in like the nitty gritty places, right? He goes to these nitty gritty places, but he always he has like a bougie feel to him, right? Like it's it's not it's not sterile like you say, but I feel like he's not trying to think of a way to say it. He still has an aloofness to him, right?
Well, yeah, I could say aloof is definitely yeah, but that's a little different than I do not think he thinks he's better than anyone. Where he literally will go to the lowest guy on the pecking order of a restaurant and like shake his hand at the end of an episode, and you'll see him be like, and he'll go like to a street vendor and say, "This is better than any other version of this dish I've had in the fanciest restaurants around the country." So he's there's a humility and a humbleness to him that is really appealing to me.
Mm,
I mean, I think he understands his worth and he understands his skill, but I mean, sometimes people don't like to celebrate their own skills and own worth because it comes off as being pompous or something like that. But
mhm.
I don't think he ever crosses that line into that.
No, I don't think so.
How do you feel about how do you feel about meat before it's cooked? Like when people show just this like a piece of meat on like an Instagram, they're like, check out this meat. Like, do you see it as something appealing or do you just see like a pig's ass like we're looking at right now?
It just depends on what it is.
Hmm.
Like if it's a gorgeous, ribeye or something like that with, pretty marbling on it, and if it's maybe like a pork butt or something like that, and it has all the seasoning packed on it and stuff like that, I think that's pretty.
It's like the foreplay to the food that you're about to eat.
It's just I don't know. There's some artistry in butchering, right? So I think that a really nice cut of meat shows off
Okay.
what the butcher can do.
Just like Jack the Ripper.
Just like Abdullah.
Yes, the greatest butcher that there ever has been. He just made an itchy and scratchy joke. Well, I know our friend Tim Capel will hate, but
Oh,
he's talking
hmm.
about tripe and organ. Have you ever?
Mm.
What's the most wild thing you've ever eaten besides food that's fallen on the floor at a restaurant?
Well, Um, I don't. Maybe snails might be the wildest thing.
Like right out of the
Es
backyard, like you
escargot,
just pick up a rock
escargot.
and grab some snails out from underneath.
I actually enjoyed it a lot. The escargot.
Escargot. It
Yeah.
is fun. Yeah, it's fun. It because that's like an experience as well. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
it's a unique experience, and when they're cooked right. But essentially, it's just butter.
Butter and garlic. Yes. That's what I enjoyed about it. Yes.
It's always like that. Like, oh, this asparagus is amazing. Yeah, it's wrapped in bacon and butter, motherfucker. Can wrap a Nike Air Jordan from fucking 1993 in bacon and butter. It tastes good.
It's delicious.
Yeah. It's like, all right, just eat the butter and bacon and don't pretend you like this. But like this bone marrow to me, that sounds fucking awesome, man. Like,
I would probably fuck with some bone marrow.
I
Yeah,
had
they are at the fucking like plant where the meat is processed. We are seeing all the things.
yeah, you're seeing how the I was gonna say how the fudge is made, but I guess it's how the fudge is made. But
What about you? What's your most exotic food?
I had cobra once.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I've definitely had tripe. I don't know what animal it came from.
Mm.
My sister made me eat a nickel once when I was a kid. That's pretty rare.
That's very exotic. Yes,
Hmm. It might still be in me. I don't know. I
it
never.
probably
Yeah,
is.
I never looked for it.
I never looked for it.
That's like I didn't hear a plink at the end of a at the end of a
This
bowel
is
movement.
this is kind of what I mean about him because we've seen him on the street. We saw him in a little hole in the wall, and now we've seen him in this looks like a very fancy place. Um,
Eating a pig head.
yeah, eating garbage parts of the bone marrow and now the hooves too.
Well, I think that's good. I think it shows that you could have a
It's
full.
versatile, yeah.
Yeah, like the dichotomy of everything is like I like very produced pop music, but I also
Mhm.
like the most poorly produced death metal music. I like big blockbuster movie.
Right.
Well, maybe not that blockbuster, but I like big movies,
Yeah.
and I like the smallest indie I could find.
Mhm.
Like I like that. You should have that spectrum in
Mhm.
all your art, and I think food does fall into the art form of it.
Oh, definitely.
How do you feel about men with one earring?
I don't mind it. I
Hmm.
I feel I love earrings on dudes. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, yeah, like 1, 2, 15, it's fine.
Oh, interesting. How many holes do you have?
I'm sorry, what?
Pierce, unnatural holes.
I had 2 in each ear, but then the second one, gave me some trouble, so I kinda let them kinda,
Oh,
um,
get the
one
little
of them is still kinda open, but the other one kinda closed up. I would
squeeze.
love that, but there's something about I have, like, big ears, can't tell, but there's something about that spot that just I don't know, it would irritate me, like, if I'd lay on it or something like that. Um, always wanted an eyebrow ring my entire life,
Mm.
like, an eyebrow ring. But my grandmother told me one day that she would disown me if I did that,
Well,
and I
people forget.
hated her, so I'm surprised I didn't do that.
Yeah, if my dad
I
had told
didn't
me
hate her,
he
I
didn't want me
just
to get my eyeball pierced, I would have got it pierced when I was a teenager. So
oh
that shows
god.
you. Yeah, he's a dick. Yeah, I've never done it. I had a friend Carl. He was a bald man with two hoop earrings. He had his nipples both pierced. This was in like 1996, so you could pretty much get
That's a
uh,
look.
you could get put in an insane asylum for something like that back in '96. Man, this is
True.
like pre like acceptance of like all that kind of shit. So I've never. It seemed like a lot of work to go do it, but it's
Yeah.
funny when around here there's a lot of people that they pierce their babies' ears when they're literally like
Oh,
three
yeah.
months old.
Mhm. A lot of people do that. I'm not against that either. I mean, why not? Because when they're kids and it'll be a lot more painful. When they're a
Yeah, I
baby,
mean,
they won't even remember or anything.
there's a reason they don't circumcise you when you're 18, right?
Exactly. Do what you
Probably.
want. I mean, you made that kid, whatever. What am I to say about anything? But I would say go to like a real artist to get it done, not go to the mall and get it done with a gun.
I have pierced a few ears in my life with the ice and a piece of cork and a pin.
How'd that
So,
go?
for me, it was great.
Yeah, right.
For the person screaming,
So you just okay, what was the circumstances there?
My friend said he wanted to pierce his ear, so I said, "I'll do it right now," and we did it.
So you
And
just made it up. You didn't, like, look it up or, like
this is way before the internet existed, my
yeah.
friend. So,
Well, way before you had it.
yeah, that's true. It was 2009 before the internet existed. Uh, no, this is like when I was in high school. Yeah, my buddy just wanted one, so I said, "Yeah, let's fucking do it." I didn't know that you really have to commit to it, so it was like it was like
Oh,
peeling a.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't peel the Band-Aid off fast enough, so I literally was
You went
just.
the slow pierce?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I
fuck
thought it was like
that.
sex. I thought it was like sex. Pierce the tip, go slow. No, no,
No,
no.
you gotta go you
Yeah, yeah.
gotta be quick.
This was a this should have been a bathroom hookup real quick, but instead I was going fucking Karma Sutra
You're
tantric
yeah.
style on his ass.
No wonder he was screaming.
Yeah, and it fucked it up, and I had to put it a second
I
hole
bet.
in his
Oh
ear.
my god.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Sorry, Jamie. I
Dude.
apologize.
Dude. Oh, did he survive still?
Well, I haven't seen him in about 20 years, but I saw him the next day. So I don't know if it was like sepsis set in, but it set in a few
Got
years later.
gangrene of the ear and then he died.
Yeah, it
What
could
I
have.
heard.
But they have
Jesus
prosthetics and stuff for
Christ.
that now. It's fine.
True.
Cochlear implants. He's good. Why did
It's a
Marcus?
botched piercing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've ever tried to. I did try to wax a girl's pubic area once, and I did the same thing, and it was really tough on her.
Why? Oh my god.
She asked me to do it. No, I held her down and did it
Well,
in her
no
sleep.
shit, but
She was sleeping. I woke her up for.
it's like
Yeah, it wasn't great.
she should have told you to do it.
Yeah. She didn't tell me to rip it like crazy, but
Oh,
yeah, it was real slow. Took a while. It
that
wasn't
no.
great. It wasn't the erotic experience we thought it was gonna be.
No.
Anyhow, look at this guy with the knife.
I
That's how
wonder how many botched piercings Anthony Bourdain did.
that guy's treating that piece of meat like I did my friend's ear, just
Mm,
hacking away at it.
yeah, yeah. Was he married, Bourdain?
I do not know if he was ever married. I know he was at the end of his life. He was dating Asia Argento, who's a famous Italian actress, and whose father is Dario
Dario?
Argento. Yep,
Oh,
that's her father.
hmm.
And yeah, there was a lot of weird shit that went down with her after she accused Weinstein of some shit.
Oh,
But
right.
then a young guy who was like 17 came out and said she had slept with him on a movie set. And apparently Bourdain was paying for like her legal fees and that kind of,
Oh.
and then they split up. Yeah, it's there's a documentary on him on HBO right now. It is incredible. If you want it, have a couple glasses of whiskey and you'll cry by the end of it, unless you're,
I'm sure.
not human. But yeah, fascinating dude who just was yeah, he just seems like it was too much. Life became too much for him at that point with all the shit going on. But you'll never
Oof.
really know why someone chooses to do that.
Yeah.
But I always think it's fast. Like I love that he's in a person's kitchen just cooking. Like I
Mhm.
love it. It's just such a. It just makes me wonder like how poorly I cut onions watching this guy slice up some onions.
They're making what kind of food?
I believe they're some
Punjabi?
I think that's what she said. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been, yeah, because there's a big Pakistani
yeah.
population and Indian population. It's a very modern kitchen, very high
Mm.
ceilings. Do you find Bourdain an attractive man?
I do. I
Yeah,
do. He has even now he has a little bit of that gray uh hair to him. I like
yeah,
that salt and pepper look.
a man smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, that's always gonna do it for me. I wish he had a beard.
Um, yeah, it's 2002. Maybe it's a cook thing. You don't want to the cleanliness of the
Uh,
beard. Maybe it was another thing. It's funny because we were talking about like the celebrity chef becoming a thing. Excuse me, where like it's almost like a joke, right? Like a chef's
mhm,
gonna be like, "I'm a badass," like he's a fucking like he's an actual musician or something. But
mm,
like
like
Bourdain was one of
Bobby
the
Flay.
yeah, yes, and all those dudes. But like Bourdain started that, and that's the thing that where people always like forget what started it and lump the people that started a trend into the imitators of a trend. Once it
Mm,
become yeah, once
they
it becomes
forgot who started it, and then it
yeah,
becomes yeah.
so once it becomes multiplicity, like a copy
Mhm,
of a copy kind of
mhm,
bullshit, and you're like, yeah, that fucking sucks. It's like, no,
mhm,
the genesis of that trend was genuine and cool. It's just a bunch
mhm.
of people who were too fucking lame to start their own trend or their own thing that ripped the dude off and then kind of besmirched that.
Well, I mean, he's traveling around and eating a bunch of food, like
No, I'm talking about the image of a bad boy and he's got some tattoos and shit like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he has random tattoos that he's accrued over 46 years of his life. He didn't get a sleeve done on one weekend when he was 23. Oh, look at that beer
He's
bottle.
really tall.
Yeah, tall, lanky dude, right? Like
Mhm.
girls. That's another thing. Girls, you just
Yeah,
underestimated. Once you hit
yeah.
6 feet, and you know your wife's when that number or whatever, you're like, all right, like I'm gonna have a little easier time just in meeting a girl, meeting new friends, maybe even at a job interview because you just hit that little number, and you don't have to try so hard. I think
Mm.
I say it,
Well,
pissing
so
off anyone
that's
under.
tall privilege is what you mean.
I think there is a tall privilege. Yeah, absolutely.
Tall privilege, yeah.
And it's something you can't control. You were just lucky genetically, and
Mhm,
you get to
mhm,
benefit from it
mhm.
generally. Unless you made a
That
girl who has
sounds
a
right.
leprechaun fetish, then you're fucked. But
Oh, they are toasting the seasonings and then grinding them.
yeah, it's so much work when you just buy like fake
Mhm. So
seasonings like we
much.
do.
Yeah.
Like just it is really different when you I just went out to dinner the other night and I had like actually made pasta, right? Like it was a really nice Italian restaurant and I could tell like it was homemade pasta. Like they made it on premises and it was like,
Mm,
holy fuck, I forget how good that is when you
mhm.
make something from
You
scratch.
forget, yeah.
Dude, you forget, like, oh my god, I could have just eaten that shit plain, just the pasta, without the pesto and the fucking tuna on it. But goddamn, you just forget about how good it is when you just make it
What
like
kind of
that.
pasta was it?
It was a rigatoni.
Mm.
Hmm.
Why don't you rank your top 5 pastas?
I wrote down a list recently. I can't remember what it was for, but I would have to bury my head between my legs and eat my own asshole to eat one of our friends' favorite pastas. But that's a joke that only 3 people get.
Yep,
That's
sure is.
okay.
Appreciate that.
Hmm.
So that looks incredible, what they made.
Yes. How do you feel about eating with your hands in public?
I'm it just depends. It's not my favorite, but I'm not gonna
I like that. I like that because I
if
do
it's
think of that a lot.
culturally, what you're supposed to do, then I'm not gonna be like all fussy about it. But, if it's a steak, I'm probably gonna use a knife and a fork.
But if you're out with a bunch of people and you're like, "Fuck, I don't wanna eat it with my hands, so I won't get a hamburger even though I kinda want one, I'll just get something with a fork." Have you ever, like, made
No,
that
no,
call? Oh, no?
no, I can definitely eat like things that are supposed to be eaten by hand.
Okay.
You know,
I'll make that decision sometimes. I mean, you eat a lot of meals with dudes with beards, like, how do you feel about looking at food in a dude's beard?
it doesn't happen that much, really.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty rare. And look, we're 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 just people. So if some food gets in the beard, I might just go, "Hey, you got something in your beard." I'm not gonna let this person walk around with food in their beard, and I won't embarrass them by acting like a crazy person because they have one piece of food in their beard.
Have you ever slapped a piece of food out of someone's beard or chewed it out of someone's beard?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've always wanted to slap food out of someone's hand, like right before they take a bite,
Nice.
like an apple, or I don't know why it's always fruit based when I think of it, but
It's the least messy.
I guess so. And it's like just unnecessarily dramatic for a piece of fruit, I think.
Yeah, no one ever got that worked up over a fucking, Granny Smith apple
Yeah,
before, but
yeah,
you'd be
just
the
like a
first.
banana, and well, banana would be kind of funny too, but
That's very
just
erotic.
just fucking I mean, with all the hate in my heart, just slap the food out of their mouth. And also, I've wanted to do it when somebody is holding, like a tray or anything where their hands are occupied on the thing and they're balancing it. I
Mm.
just want to slap it down like that.
Oh, well, one day I hope to see you live that out.
I hope to one day live that. I mean, that's incredibly rude. I don't know why I would ever do that, but
Well,
um,
people do, like, rage rooms and bullshit like that. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do that at least once in your life.
I'm very interested in a rage room. Have you ever done that?
No, I wanna have, like, an opposite of a rage room, like a chill room. I
Chill
think
room?
I think
That's
everyone's
boring.
angry enough as it is. You get behind your car and drive like assholes all the time, most people, so,
Yeah,
like,
for
don't you
sure.
don't you get your rage out that way? Like, screaming at
No,
other
I just
people?
get more raged.
No, no. I'm gonna start a fucking anti-rage room where we just,
Mm.
micro dose and go.
Well, I mean, that's like my patio where I just like chill and smoke weed. Like
There
that's
you
I can do that anytime I want. I cannot go out there and break everything on the patio. So,
When I was a teenager, I worked at a liquor store, and there was a basement, and I would just take random bottles and smash them against the wall. But I was 18 and filled with hormones and madness,
and
so
madness.
sadness disguised by
Yeah.
madness. But
I've
speaking of,
actually been trying to talk my son into doing a rage room.
mm,
Uh, the first time I ever saw it or heard of it, we were at like a little axe throwing place, and they had a couple of rage rooms, and you could see it. Like they had the TV outside, so you could see them raging in there. And I was so into it, like I was so interested. So I was just watching this girl in there, and she was just wrecking shit. It looked so fucking fun. And her mom's out there, and we started talking, and she's like, "Yeah, like this is literally therapy for her. We have this place booked like twice a month to come in and rage, and it has helped our daughter tremendously." And I'm like, "I think that's amazing." And I tried to talk my son into it, but he wouldn't do it.
I mean, there was a big thing in the '70s called primal scream therapy, which was based
Oh,
on that.
yes, I've heard of that.
I believe John Lennon
But that sounds
adopted it at one
painful
point.
though.
Oh, you gotta like scream about like
Yeah.
your mommy and daddy's
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, but yeah, it's a similar thought, similar idea. Speaking of rage, Gordon Ramsay making a surprise guest appearance on this episode.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Bourdain going to visit him, which is a team that I never thought I would see. I don't know if Ramsay had a show at this point, maybe on the BBC, but it doesn't. I don't think he had one in America at this point.
Yeah, he was
Like,
a little bit later.
yeah, I don't know when he entered the cultural conscious in
Well,
America.
I've done a show on him, but I don't remember what we said. We might not have said.
I mean, he seems pretty chill in this. Like he's with a contemporary. He's not with someone that
Yeah,
he's
he's not with a dumbass like he usually is.
2002.
Yeah, I think Ramsey, if he's with somebody that's cool, he's gonna be cool. Like,
Well, it's one of those things too, where like the term reality TV has kind of broken people's brains on what they should be expecting. Because reality TV would just be a boring show that it's just called life. Like the
yeah,
reason that
yeah, it's like it's boring and
yeah, and there's like people get
everybody's.
upset where they're like,
Mhm,
oh, like I was thinking of because it was WrestleMania. Like I was thinking of watching Stone Cold's show just because it was wrestling related. But I'm
mhm,
like, it's kind of stupid. But people always get mad with the Kardashians and like whatever. And there's a show on HBO called The Rehearsal,
mhm,
and it's a show. It's a reality show, but like there's people like, oh, I don't know if it's real or fake, and there was actors. It's like it doesn't fucking matter. It's a show. Like people have lost the narrative of why you're watching TV. It's to be entertained.
mhm.
It's we watch wrestling. Like we are good at being like, I don't give a fuck how the magic is made. Like I don't want to know behind it. I don't want to know everything. I want to just
Well,
watch.
yeah,
And the show should be like that. If it's a reality show, then and oh no, I can't watch this entertaining thing because it's scripted. I don't really watch much reality show, but I think that people shitting on it for its lack of realism is fucking silly.
yeah, true. I see a wedding ring, I think, on his hand here. Maybe not. Maybe it's just.
That's just to keep what's his face from hitting on him.
Oh, Ramsey.
Yeah, he's a notorious dickhead.
Oh, they're having lobster ravioli. With-
What is this fucking Twilight? Oh, no, that's pumpkin.
Oh
That's pumpkin
man,
ravioli. Never mind.
that looks good. Ravioli's on my top 5 list.
Yeah, it's like a blowjob. You can't fuck up ravioli, unless you start putting like mince and shit like that in there. What's your favorite ravioli?
I like just the traditional, like little beef, cheese, like light sauce. I don't like a real saucy
Okay.
ravioli. So like I was never like a beefaroni or, a Chef Boyardee
Oh,
person. I would never eat pasta out of a can. I mean, I don't
oh,
say that to sound like that. I just saying
you sound like Bourdain. Like you sound like you're
I would
saying
never do
Bourdain
that
sounds now.
because I don't think it would taste good.
That's a very odd, like as a northerner, as a Yankee, I would think a southerner would have just grown up on that stuff, sort of thing.
On canned ravioli?
Yeah, like pasta with like ketchup on it, and you call it.
No, no. I mean, you might think that, but no.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. I mean, we were joking about ravioli looking like a butthole or my butthole, but I do believe that there's other ones that do look a little more like it for
Oh,
the
yeah?
yeah,
Like
like a fed like a oh
like a
god.
tortellini?
Yeah, tortellini is the one I was definitely
That
thinking of.
definitely looks like a bowl.
Mhm. That's what I was thinking. So,
That's my favorite pasta, and I like it with, spinach and cheese on the inside and, like, an Alfredo sauce.
oh, okay.
Again, lightly sauced.
Alfredo sauce, otherwise known as I'll be in the bathroom in 5 minutes sauce.
And that I can make from scratch, and it's very good.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun episode.
Yeah, man. Like, I really the non widescreen and the low film resolution really appeals to me, man. This was such a good time for TV when cable was really expanding, and
Mhm,
you're getting cool shows that it sounds weird, and I know the internet existed, but it wasn't as common for everyone to have internet and YouTube. I do not believe existed, and like seeing a show like this is one of the few ways you could see a different land and different looking people
mhm,
without like nowadays it's just whatever. There are people from all over the world in your Instagram feed on a daily basis.
mhm,
And before this though, like it was national National Geographic or PBS would have a travel show, but like just seeing different cultures and different types of people was not something that was made into a very entertaining, digestible format. Kind of
mhm,
until Travel Network and Food Channel and Bourdain like this were making it that accessible, and I think it really opened up people to tolerating other people and learning about other people's lives and cultures in a way that just wasn't available before these shows kind of came out. Look at this, working at a tan
Ooh, look at there.
buff Bourdain. I got
My
distracted.
god, what are we doing?
Hey, now, you gotta take
Sir.
that gold chain off. You're gonna get a weird tan, dude,
He
but
needs a beard, though. I'm sorry. I know you're a chef. Lots of chefs have beards.
yeah, I mean, it's 2002. Beards had not really become, something that,
Yeah, I know.
were as popular. I mean, I had one in 2002, but I'm a trendsetter, much like Bourdain, but just not in the beard. Not he's not a follicle trendsetter.
He treats it like a little journal, too,
Mhm.
because he's talking now about his personal life, like, he's
He's smoking Lucky Strikes too, which you
yeah,
know
oh
he's a fucking
god.
badass.
Yeah.
And he never I mean, he's in his book, he talks a lot about doing a lot of blow and a lot of drugs when he was in the New York, art rock scene, punk rock
Mhm,
scene in the 80s and stuff like that. And he said that he kind of slowed down, but he drinks on his shows. He said he
mhm.
quit smoking because he had a high rise apartment in Manhattan and he got bored uh, going downstairs to smoke all the time.
That's great.
Yeah, I think he had a kid. I think that's when he had a kid. So I think he had
Yeah.
a, so he was just like, I don't want to smoke around it, but like just and he talks about like he's got a great quote about like craft beer where he went to like when craft beer first came out and people are um just tasting it and smelling it and he's like no, beer is supposed to be fun, like
Mhm, mhm,
alcohol is for fun, and yes, I understand. I mean, I like good craft beers as well, but
mhm.
sometimes you go to these places and you're like, all right, motherfucker, take it easy. You got a Jenny.
He's in Saint Martin, looks
That is
like.
correct,
Oh,
yeah.
they're
you got
smoking weed.
you got weed right on the TV right now, man.
Nice.
Loving it.
That's great.
He said he doesn't like vegetarians, but he likes Rastafari. Agreed.
Well, they smoke weed. Saint Martin Freedom Fighters Shack.
Ital Shack.
That looks like a fun place.
Yeah, and it's kind of a place that like most tourists don't really have access to. Like when you go,
Yeah, like
when you go to Jamaica, you are literally not in Jamaica.
yeah, yeah.
You travel through the poor area to get to the
Mhm,
weird, like all inclusive resort that you're going to go to, but
right.
you're not really on the ground in a place like this. And why would you be? No one wants you there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, does somebody in these countries like the way it's shown is that 99% of the time they're all very happy to be sharing their culture and their food with someone and they're very gracious, but is there a part of that culture that finds it, you know, kind of fucked up that this white guy comes in here with this camera crew and um,
I think here
exposes all of our shit?
I think here, no, because it
Right.
was still a novelty. I'm
Mhm.
sure by now, where every asshole is filming every fucking thing in their area and pointing cameras everywhere, it's like, what the fuck? But back then, there was still a novelty. Like, you could see people look at. Yeah, well, see, you can sometimes see videos of people with they bring a video camera to like their high school in like 2003, and the kids are looking at it like they're from fucking Papua New Guinea. Like
Mhm,
they don't know how
mhm.
to act in front of a fucking camera, right?
Yeah,
Like, but there's like I see my like 5-year-old niece, and you put a camera, a video camera on her, and she's doing a fucking show,
yeah, it's
and it's
way
just like
different.
it's so ingrained, yeah, how to act in front of a camera compared to what it would have been like 20 years ago,
Mhm.
where people just it's like just act natural, just the people doing their shit.
And
And he's high as
you
fuck, this
know
guy. You don't give a shit what your point is.
yeah, oh, big
He's-
time.
and you get paid.
But, like, sometimes
These
people
guys
are
get paid to do
very
this too. So
selective. Well, that's also true, but I don't mean necessarily the people that are on the show, but maybe just, like, other, hole in the wall places that don't get visited by Anthony Bourdain might I don't know. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just curious if there would be any backlash to sharing
I'm sure there is.
because some
Yeah.
people are kinda
Well, my
secretive about
wife is
their
not.
stuff too.
Yeah. Well, my wife is not for your entertainment. My wife is not
Exactly.
here for
That's
you.
that's sort of that thing
I'm
that
not
I
a zoo.
mean.
I'm not a zoo animal for you to
Yeah, yeah.
observe. Yeah.
Yeah, I learn
I could
my
do that.
culture, what the fuck, you
Well, if
know?
some motherfucker came to my house or backyard with a camera, I'd fucking throw a fucking pitchwalk at him and say, "Get the
That's
fuck
what I'm
out of here, dude."
saying. You're
And I ain't doing anything interesting.
there are a lot of probably Roccos in a place like
Well,
Jamaica.
there should be more.
But this I mean, they made him a whole ass thing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, and you also don't know if he has I don't know if he has a relationship with these people, the people that he goes to see. And it seems like this guy that he's talking to, this white dude he's friends with, is probably like a curator and go between to
Yeah,
introduce.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
usually does have a guy who he's like,
Intermediary, yeah.
exactly, yeah, who's always like, oh yeah, I know this crew over here, come hang out with them. And it does look
Yeah.
like it's a restaurant. It's not someone's house. This is
No,
some
no,
sort of
no.
eatery, right?
Yeah.
And that's what an eatery should look like as well. Just outside.
Definite.
Just
That
eating.
looks
Why does
so
eating
good.
outside taste so much better?
Oh,
Why
I
do you
don't
think?
know. I'll that's a great thing.
I feel like when you eat outside, you're more apt to try. At least me. I'm more apt to try new things. Like
Mhm.
if you put a piece of watermelon on my plate next to a piece of steak in the wintertime inside, I'm gonna say get that shit off of that. But if you just go to a barbecue, man, you could throw some beans right on
Anything
top of it.
goes on there, yeah.
Yeah, man, just throw it on there. And if I'm at someone's house and they put it on my plate, I fucking hate mayonnaise, but I'll eat some. If your grandma puts potato salad on my plate, I will eat it. But I will not disrespect some old lady who cooked me a meal. So, but
Yeah,
only
you
if it's
have a
outside.
complicated food relationship.
I do.
Mm.
But it's a lot of that's a lot of my issues, but
Oh, for sure.
my respect for people who cook and show hospitality towards me trumps any of my weirdness, and I'll always show respect in that way.
Mhm,
My
mhm.
mother instilled in me that you should never salt your food at a stranger's house.
I've heard that too. I feel like that's bullshit.
Oh, I mean, I still would never do it
But
anyway.
everybody still has their own taste. Like, that's what I'm saying, like,
You should at
it
least taste. No, wait, I'm sorry. Without tasting it first, I
oh,
apologize.
yeah, definitely taste it first.
Right, right.
Well, some
And then,
things just get automatically salted, but then again, I am Southern, so,
well, that's the thing.
oh, yeah, we're addicted to salt down here.
Do you guys have a salt lick like a horse just in your house that you just walk past and give
Basically,
a
yeah,
couple
just
licks?
chisel some off there, and eat it up.
Like a drive-by licking, you just give it a couple licks.
And that has I wasn't really like that for most of my life, but as I'm older, I am salting a lot more things.
Well, years of smoking. I mean, I'm not saying you smoke cigarettes, but
Probably.
people who smoke cigarettes tend to lose their sense of taste. And as you get
It's
older,
true.
I've noticed guys as they get older, they like it's just hot sauce on everything because it's
Everything,
yeah,
right.
it's like your
Mhm.
asshole's gonna pay for that, but at least you get to taste something while
Taste
you're in there.
something.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. I guess your taste buds die over time. I'm not really sure how that all works. I would imagine they take a beating in your tongue, right? Like your hands get calloused. Do your taste
Mhm.
buds get calloused after a million years of putting fucking thin crust pizzas in them?
All the flavors, they just get tired of flavoring. All your buds are just like, "I'm retiring. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I've
You,
tasted my last taste.
you need
I
like
gotta go."
an umami fucking implant to like taste some shit after fucking 20 years on the job.
When you were in school, did you ever do the thing where you learned the regions of the tongue
Yeah. Yeah.
and like where the flavors hit on the tongue?
I do not remember it, but I do remember a chart where, this is in the front, this is the two sides, one in the back and one in the middle.
Isn't that weird? Like Do they still teach that in school? There's no way my son knows that.
No, as much as they would teach the rhythm method, and I think
That was just in New Jersey.
no, that's true. That's true. But I mean, there's a new one now. There's
Oh,
five.
he is floating in the pool right now. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is turning quite hot.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a nice lithe tan, ooh, I
Mhm.
just burped. Muscular body.
And they're kind of cutting in like his relaxation scenes with like scenes of him melting down in the kitchen. Like, this is why I'm chilling out. This is why I'm in St. Martin. I needed a vacation from my real life.
It's a dichotomy of his own brain where it's like I could be this hectic and in control. And it's funny. I have a friend who's a doctor, who's a neuropsychologist. You know, he helps people who've had traumatic brain injuries, like guys who have like a
Oh,
metal,
TBIs? Yeah.
well, like a piece of rebar in his head. So he's teaching guys how to like. Well, I mean, he's not doing the therapy parts, but when he started, he was like, teaching people how to remember to eat because these guys who were Fortune
Mm.
500 CEOs. This one guy he was telling me about was like, he created a major company and now he does not remember a human needs to eat. So he has
Oh,
to
jeez.
train this guy. And this is
Mm.
just from like he got in like a car accident. But for him, I would be like, hey man, you got to watch fucking uh, The Wire or something like this. He's like, dude, when I'm coming home, I do not want to think anymore. I want fucking everyone loves Raymond at the most on
Right.
my TV,
Mindless bullshit.
yeah, and I'd be like, "You're such a smart dude, like, you don't watch anything, like, good," and he's like, "No, man, I don't, and I'm not gonna watch rest," because
No, man, I don't.
I don't, like, why would he? Because that's 8 I'm working at a bookstore all day long, like, the only thing that fucking challenges me is, like, trying to smoke weed on my break and not get caught, and this
Or how to
guy's fucking
steal more.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that I did have some elaborate, Clive not Clive
I
Barker.
mean, I believe you because of the amount of shit you stole. I mean, not to call you out. Statute of limitations is way gone
Strike that, she doesn't know
on.
what she's talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My name is,
Nothing
uh
happened.
my
I
name is,
made it all up. Don't
yeah.
worry about
My name is Mako Rato, not
it.
what she told you before. Totally different person.
It looks like they're eating conch shells. Is that right? Not the shells, maybe just the conch.
I've never eaten a cock shell. I've eaten what's
Yeah,
in a cock shell, but I've never eaten the shell
I
around it.
said conch.
Oh, okay. So,
There's an N in it.
um, yeah, it looks like it, man. Like, God,
Those things are, yeah, I don't, I would probably try for sure.
yeah. There's very few things I wouldn't. I don't. I won't eat anything that's alive still. So like, there's a lot of stuff in Japan, but I've eaten like some caterpillar type shit, not cockroaches, grasshoppers. I've had those.
Yeah, like crunchy, like,
Yeah, yeah. But when people eat like the live squid and shit like that, I don't
no,
want anything
man.
to do with
That's
that.
like walking across the table still.
Yeah, no, thank you,
No
no, thank
thanks. Not
you.
doing that.
Stuff like veal, it
That
makes me.
looks good.
It does look really good. Veal makes me feel bad, so I don't eat it, and it's not good
Mm.
enough for me to not care.
That's
Like,
how I feel about veal too. Like,
if veal was amazing, I'd be like, yeah,
yeah.
I could take a hit on the
Mm.
karmic chart, but it ain't that
I
great.
was like that with lamb as well.
Uh, yeah, lamb is interesting. Lamb smells like a guy who
It's bad. It's
has been
so
playing a
bad.
video game for like 24 hours straight.
This shit though.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
How
That
much meat did they get out of that one shell?
I mean, those
It's
things get
stuffed, I know, but
huge though, man. You see those guys
that
doing
is insane.
look at this guy cracking on his typewriter. I love it.
But I mean, I know, like you said, there are a lot of imposters of Bourdain, but I like somebody like Zac Efron. Did you watch his show where he did this sort of thing?
A travelogue show? No, I didn't.
Yeah, Down to Earth.
I did not.
So he took it a step further, I thought, and he would go and catch the food. He was,
Oh, nice.
yeah, he did. And his whole deal was everything being eco friendly. Like, so the places that he traveled to, he did it because they were doing something revolutionary with, farming or whatever um, to make things more eco-friendly. So it was a pretty incredible show, and it reminded me of Bourdain
Yeah, I mean, that
because
sounds.
Zach is very cool. Like, I'm sorry, I don't really care what you think about Zach Efron. Like, he he kills it on that show.
Well, I mean,
Like,
there's a nobility to how you're describing that show, but he fucking is hilarious in everything he
he is
does.
hilarious.
There was an interview with I think it was on the someone talking about Neighbors or
Yes.
Baywatch, which is both those Neighbors.
I
He's
didn't even
amazing
see
in.
but Baywatch.
Baywatch is great.
Mhm,
But I think it was someone talking. I think it was the girl from Dario was talking about how like in between like during like lunch she was like looking around the set and Zach Efron's just doing pull-ups. I'm like, what he has to do to maintain that thing that he
mhm,
has is insane.
mhm,
But like for some reason, like there is a certain like, oh, he's a muscular hot guy. He cannot be funny or talented at the thing he's
mhm.
doing, which it's funny
Nobody
to say.
thinks that anymore. Like, you're required to be funny when you're hot now.
Yeah, like you got like the Ryan Reynolds and the guys like
Exactly.
that, and they're like, oh, you have to be a funny, charming guy. But for
Mhm.
years, it was like you have to be the fat schlubby dude to get taken
True.
seriously as a comedian or something like that. But yeah, Efron seems like a cool dude, and he's done some challenging shit. He did the Ted Bundy thing, and he seems like he's really trying to push himself. Like he seems like a less douche, like a Jared Leto is to douchebag what he is to like down to earth seeming kind of dude, right? A pretty boy who we could tolerate, right?
And it's so funny because he really is struggling to, like, understand, not struggling, he really wants to understand, what these very smart and capable people are telling him, and, um, sometimes it goes over his head, and he has to kind of, like, acknowledge that. It's
Well, that's
like
that's more than most people do. Like
it's he's so humbled, like, during the whole, and he's so appreciative of everything. I just loved him on
well,
that show, and he got to do the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like,
yeah, from the clips I've seen, it looks like pretty amazing. It's good that he's humble about that because many, like lots of people are scared. I don't know how that became a thing where people are scared to ask questions if they don't know, and like,
'cause you don't wanna look dumb, but
well,
yeah,
who
I get it.
cares? How do you
No,
learn
no, I
something?
know. I
People
don't feel
people
that way.
people mistake like looking dumb for like being ignorant isn't a pejorative.
Mhm.
People
Mhm.
think it is, but it just means you haven't
Mhm.
learned yet, and you don't learn unless you ask, and you don't learn unless you fail and have to
Mhm.
learn and look something up. But
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are scared to pretend they don't know stuff, and it's like you're the one that's missing out on the
Mhm.
conversation and the life aspects of stuff. But yeah, I'll check that show out. It sounds really cool.
Alright, here we are.
Sounds a lot cooler than Leo DiCaprio pretending to care about the environment and flying around on his private jet for fucking by himself to pick up 18-year-olds at a fucking resort.
Alright, he's in another picnic table, backyard type of place. That looks nice, though.
Yeah, it looks pretty goddamn good. Look at that. Right out of
Oh,
the
he's eating ribs. Oh, fuck.
ribs are one of the few things on a bone. I'm not a big fan of eating food that has bones inside of it. It kind of
Mhm.
grosses me out.
Mhm.
Mostly rib cages, like a chicken breast, disgusts me because it feels
Um,
exactly like my cat's rib cage feels, and it kind of grosses me the fuck out.
what if you take it off the bone? You're good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, I used to not like ribs, because, when like a baby, because I didn't have them prepared correctly for a long time.
Okay.
Like, the ribs would be all tough and, like, like, sticking in my teeth and, like, trying to 'cause when I was growing up, we would eat, like, the country ribs. They wouldn't be like the baby back ribs.
Not the city ribs, the country
No,
ribs.
so you get the country ribs, which has a lot more gristle, fat on it, and you really have to, like, get the morsels of meat off the bone, and, but once I had like, well-prepared baby back ribs, I was like, "Okay, this is ribs," because I would say, "I don't like ribs," for the longest time until I had them done right.
Yeah, that's it's interesting how that could work. Like I was scared of guacamole because
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 it
I hate
turns brown.
well I hate mayonnaise and stuff, and I didn't know guacamole was just an avocado because it's cream when it's done right. It's like
Yeah,
creamy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so the consistency was always like disgusting to me. And then someone
Mhm.
once like I didn't have the guacamole, so I was like fucking in my late 20s. I don't think
'Cause you thought there was mayonnaise in it.
I just assumed yeah, there was some kind of
Mhm.
white gross shit in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and now it's like the best. Also
Oh,
like
yeah, that's so good.
the
I
most
love guac.
temperamental goddamn food in the world.
Oh my god, I know. And that's I I will never figure out when
It's
to
the thing.
buy them, when to how do you plan to use it? I want a Cobb salad tonight.
Nope.
I'm sorry, but your avocado will not be ready until next Friday.
Yeah, you gotta quantum leap yourself and back in
Yeah,
time and
you
fucking
do.
get buy one
Like,
for yourself.
you have to like, precog your avocado cravings, and, like, in a couple days, I'm gonna need an avocado.
Yeah, and, like, you sometimes you have it left over and you're like, "Fuck, I gotta eat."
Yeah.
Like, you're done eating, but you're like, "I know I can't save it,
Yeah.
but I don't wanna throw it out." So now you're
Yeah.
just shoving extra chips in your goddamn mouth just to, like, not be wasteful.
Well, I started putting it into, like, chicken salad, so, like, making,
Okay.
like, chicken salad with replacing the mayo with the avocado, which is very good and a good way to use them up.
I used to be so scared of being poor that I would eat every part of a watermelon,
The rind and everything.
and the white and then the green.
I've heard
Just
of that before,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I was very paranoid about wasting and being poor, so I would just
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, and then I don't know, I guess I don't have to be. He's I think I'm a little ahead of you, but he's having a breakfast right now,
Mhm.
but it looks like a dinner.
What is it?
a lot of different countries, it's, some sort of, stew-looking thing.
Johnny cake dough is what he's doing right
That's
now.
yeah, that's what he's saying there, but it's like a stew in there, and it's like a
Mhm.
lot of countries don't
Mm.
we're the only country that really does the whole, like, sugar cereals and stuff like that, but, like, I know pho is very popular to eat in, like, Asian countries. They just
Mm.
have, like, spicy
For
noodles.
breakfast, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, that is kind of it, like, Bourdain does famously have a, hangover cure where he says, "Spicy noodles, a Coca-Cola, and an aspirin, and then smoke a joint is the only real, hangover cure that you can have."
Now look, I might have to try that very
Mm.
soon.
I mean, I've tried variants of that, but maybe not in the right order.
Mm-mm. I've never, been I've never had, like, real pho, like or, like, a real, like, ramen bowl or
Okay.
whatever. I've never had, like, that sort of thing. I need to try that. Well, we have tons of places here that do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in the sitting in Manhattan by me that definitely I've had a couple of really cool places, and just the cart. There's carts that just have it, and it's
Mm,
like like he says, man, those things off a cart just there's something about them.
mm.
They just taste so good.
Well, I'm addicted to, like, food trucks, and that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's like made by
That was so good.
yeah, made by someone from that region, making it the
Mhm.
way they've made it in their family for a fucking century.
Johnny cake. Damn, I'm so hungry now.
That's one of the reasons I didn't want to do this. I was worried that
Yeah.
you're
I'm
gonna
always
start.
get hungry on Pluto, but
Yeah, you always get the munchies going on. Not
mhm.
like weed munchies, but munchy.
Well, both.
Well, I figured we were watching Bourdain, so I had a nice glass of sambuca before the show, and now I'm having a little Chateau de something, some white wine. So I don't like glasses off.
Ginger ale for me.
Oh shit! You gotta watch it. You got the bubbles. So, did you watch other Bourdain incarnations of his show? Did you watch No Reservations, which was the one that lasted, I think, the longest for him, and like
Yeah.
that would have been like the late 2000s show that he had, where
Yeah, I was definitely a Food Network and any kind of food related show, and let's say, like, 2002 on to maybe, like, 2008.
yeah, his
Um
later show was on Travel. Like, he went to
Mhm,
Travel Channel because he
mhm.
really wanted to, and he took control of the show. And like you're saying about the cameras and stuff, but like his crew was literally like two dudes. It was him, a
Yeah.
cameraman, and a producer, and maybe a
Mm,
sound guy. But it was a very small crew that he would run with, and he was writing the shows himself. He said that he was in the editing bay. Like, he was like, "This is it's got my name on it. Like, I
right,
want
yeah.
control over it," you know.
As he should.
And yeah, and like those shows are great. They're not on anything right now. I think you have to pay for them on something. He's one of his last shows on HBO Max along with the documentary. I do have a DVD of it, which I'm happy about because I can watch them without going to Amazon or something. But
You in physical media, yes.
yeah, I got a lot. I wish Dirty Jobs was on Pluto because I would definitely want to watch that with you. I fucking love that.
That is a great show.
Yeah, I love that
That
show.
is a great show. What was the guy's name?
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe. What does Mike Rowe do now?
He just started Dirty Jobs again.
No, he did?
Correct, yeah, it's on Discovery. I
Oh,
have not watched
cool.
the new season, but yeah, he came back and started doing some stuff online, kinda like dirty jobs, but not I don't know, it's hard to explain. He just was doing, like, advocacy type stuff and,
Mhm.
kinda brought back dirty jobs, so, I fucking love that show though, man.
Yeah, it's so it I don't wanna say gross, but, like, it really opens your eyes, like
Yeah, like someone's got to do
to
all
what
this shit.
people do, like what
Hmm.
they actually do.
And like half the things on that show are things that could also be on Fear Factor. Like,
Yes, and probably are.
yeah, right. Like fucking Christ. Oh man, I love watching a guy like this in a supermarket. Like, I want to shop with him. Like, I want him to tell me what to buy. Like you said about the avocado, man. I don't know shit.
I
It's buying
and
pate de foie.
ooh,
Oh, I wonder if that's foie gras. And I wouldn't eat that though. That kind of bums me out.
you wouldn't?
Nah, it's kind of a sad how they make it, right? They fucking force
Mm,
feed ducks and it's kind of
everything's
gross.
sad about how it's made.
Yeah, all factory farming is kind of
Yeah.
gross unless you literally just go to like a local farm. But it's when you know the story, it makes it a little tougher then.
Mm.
But I mean, if I ever went to a slaughterhouse, I'm sure I'd become a vegetarian in fucking four
Yeah,
seconds, or chicken
probably.
farm or any of that shit. So
Oh, he's got a crusty bread. Oh man.
what's he in there? Asparagus, pickled asparagus. I've never seen that. There's a lot of Asian markets in my area that I've always like. I'm always wanted to. I want someone to tell me what to do with the stuff because I don't always know what it is. You know.
Mm. Google, my friend. Google knows all.
Yeah, but when I'm in the store, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing there. I feel like they're
Mm.
gonna yell at me and tell me to get the fuck out of
Nobody
there.
cares.
Yeah, well,
As long as you're not standing in nobody's way like they always are when I'm in the fucking store.
oh God, you need your rage room now.
Oh my god.
He just said I have mixed emotions about the French, but I like French supermarkets. I mean, he's in a French supermarket in Jamaica, and there is a lot of this colonies there. I know that.
Mhm,
It's weird. The French are in weird spots. They went to Vietnam. There's a lot of French
mhm.
people. Jamaica. That what's that place above America that no one goes to?
I don't remember. Never
Canadian.
heard of it. What
I
about
went
beef
to.
tongue? Have you ever had beef tongue?
Oh yes, there's a tongue. There's a Mexican restaurant on the corner from my house that makes a tongue taco. That's fucking amazing.
I would probably try that.
Yeah, it's really good, man. It's cool. Like if you said you like the see the marbleized parts of the
Mhm,
meat, like that's
mhm,
definitely a major part of like the tongue that
mhm.
they have there.
I would think the tongue would be very, muscular, like, and
Well,
tough.
I think it's all about
So
how
you would
it's.
have to braise a tongue, though,
Yeah, I
like
feel like it's all about the preparation, right?
mhm.
It's like that German cannibal who ate the guy's dick, where he didn't cook it right, and it got all fucking shriveled up, and he couldn't eat it.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause
you
he didn't
gotta
like
cook those
indigest it.
just right.
Yeah, because they're like you said, they're all muscle, right? Or no, actually, they're
Mhm,
just like blood vessels and shit, right? And
mhm,
no muscle, so
mhm.
you never. Still, you don't want to fuck that up if you're gonna eat a guy's dick. I
It's
love
so
it.
interesting. This episode is so interesting because it's very introspective, and I mean, a lot of them are, but he he's, like, doing, like, I'm overwhelmed in the kitchen, like, little beignets, kind of like
Well, this is season 2,
vignettes, I meant,
episode 1. I
not
thought you said a
beignets.
beignet, like that
No, I
weird.
almost I just mixed up those 2 words and mashed them together. It sounds
Speaking of the
delicious.
French, you
I
got that
have
guy
food on my mind.
Chris Beignet, that famous Canadian wrestler. This is episode 1 of season 2, so I'm assuming like he has had time to think about it and really cultivate how he wants an episode to
Mm,
be from here on
mm,
out. I'm sure
mhm,
his first season was shot very like on the run and on the go,
mhm.
and just eh, like
That's
this
what
one.
I think of him when I think of him as just constant movement from one crazy ass place to the other, but this is a very big slowdown vibe and like
Yeah,
he's resting and he has his little Hawaiian shirt on and he is swimming in the pool looking hot.
just walking into the ocean and disappearing
Yeah.
into the waves. Yeah, I think he really wanted to cultivate a thing, and like
Mhm,
if you've never read him, his writing is really cool and really good. It's very Hemingway-esque in terms of
mm,
it's not flowery. It's very down to the basics, but is still very eloquent in how he
mhm.
is descriptive and things. So really good. Kitchen Confidential is a great book, but his the ones after that when he was really traveling the world are really good too. Highly recommended.
He looks so happy to be eating that burger.
Well, it's kind of like the movie The Menu, right? Like the
Mhm.
burger. Like no matter
The
what you've ever
burger.
eaten in your life, a
That's right.
burger's gonna be the best fucking thing. Unless you go to prison, then it's just a piece of meat
Yeah.
and bread. But also that's really good because they starve you for like 12 hours, and when you finally get to eat something, it's the best burger you've had, even though it's, a piece of meat and bread. I don't know what that's just, I've heard that. I've never had
You never had a burger ever.
no, I never went to the
Mm,
Tombs and had a
mm-mm.
prison burger.
I he's, sitting with his toes in the sand and taking a swim. It was a
Like
very peaceful episode. I really
it,
liked it.
yeah, it's funny to see that because it's like that is a thing when you say I'm gonna take a vacation. I want to feel the sun on my face and the sand in my toes, right?
Mhm.
And it's like it's almost a cliche to say, but it is really a sign of you looking down at your feet in a different environment. You're not wearing
Mhm.
shoes. Like it's powerful if you really
It
can
is.
have that moment to just be. I am outside of the comfort zone of life, and I could take a moment to just reflect and like look at
Mhm.
my feet. These feet that are beat up from working and have my feet and my sand in the toes and wiggle them around like a little kid. That's what little kids do, right? Like it's
Mhm.
a moment to feel like a little kid. And the beach really can bring you back to those moments of feeling like a little kid,
Mhm.
even though you're an old beat up man like
Mhm.
me and Mr. Bourdain in 2002.
R.I.P. Mr.
Yes.
Bourdain.
I
That
mean,
was
this just
awesome.
makes you, yeah, it just makes you want to watch more apps, right? Like that's the
Oh,
best.
definitely. Although I'm starving. So, yes.
Right.
So what else do you have for other podcasts going on?
Every other Friday, you could hear me on Clotheslines and Headlines 2.0 with Ryan Gray and Mike Rossi. We talk about modern wrestling, and and there's a video component now to that as well
Mhm.
now. And once a month, you could hear me on the Chronoso Monthly with my co-host here, not together, but talking about old wrestling and going through the
Mhm.
original WWF years, my favorite years in wrestling.
That's a fun show.
Come on.
Alrighty. Well, as for me, you can find me on Wednesdays right here on the North South Connection with this show with GC Dub, a game changing podcast. I always do that.
You could change Jane as well.
I should. Um, and then also a new one called Talking Docs, where we review documentaries. That should be available by the time you're hearing slash watching this, hopefully. Um, and then you can find anything I do. I will link that on Twitter. So if you're like, hey, I wonder if Jenny's been doing a podcast, the answer is yes. And you can go to Twitter and you will find eventually, amongst all my bullshit,
The answer is
a link or
always.
two. Yes. So thanks so much. I appreciate you coming back on the show, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was super fun.